review. But first, I would like to thank my channel members: Josh, Cameron, Blunt, Too Heavy, Isaiah, Robeson, Jaeger, Bomb, Legend, Micah, Carter, Rhea, Vincent, Tremblay, James, Sucks, Andrew, Peacock, Andreas, Anderson, Noble, Bowles, Adam, Hewitt, and Tristan Hoffman. Thank you so much to all of you for your continued support. It absolutely means the world to me. Okay, so we're gonna go out of order again a little bit, just because there's games I'd like to talk about first, like ones that I watched and such, starting with the New York Jets versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this game started off looking rough for Pittsburgh. I did the thing again, let's swap over. It started off rough for Pittsburgh, who I did pick to win this game in the end. Thankfully, they do get it done. Hold on, let me make sure I go. Okay, that looks better. But the first quarter or so, maybe even the first half, the Russell Wilson-led Pittsburgh offense looked rough. Because yes, this was Russell Wilson getting his first start of the season, and his first start ever for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now his third team. His third team. And he was looking rough early. Now, thankfully for him, actually no, it was later in the game. That's right, early in the game, I thought the New York Jets offense looked really good. They were getting really big chunk plays. Brees Hall had a really good touchdown. So early on, it was like all Jets. But then there was this one play, and I don't know if it was like Russ decided he had to stop playing scared, like just say F it, whatever it was. But Russ had that signature deep ball to Pickens, right? Pickett is, I always get Pickens and Pickett confused. Yeah, Pickens. Deep pass. I don't think it was a touchdown pass. It was just like a first down pass, but it was deep, and he got the reception. And right then it was like a switch flicked. And from that point forward, this game was like all Steelers. And Russell Wilson looked really, really good. So 37-15 in favor of the Pittsburgh Steelers is your final score. And Pittsburgh is rolling right now. They're 5-2. They're second in the AFC North. Coming into this season, I wasn't sure about their quarterback situation, Fields and Russ. I was honestly, I think I might have mentioned it in my week 1 prediction or whatever else. I wasn't sure. I knew the defense would be good, but I was really concerned about their quarterback situation. But now they're 5-2. Obviously they have an amazing coaching staff and all this other stuff, but the Steelers, I don't want to say they're a total surprise, but I don't know. I think if you would have asked me coming into this season if the Pittsburgh Steelers would be 5-2 at week 7, if I would believe you. I don't know if I would have. I probably would have bet the under on that, and I would have been wrong. And I've been very impressed. I was very impressed with, like I said, especially the second half. Russell Wilson, this game, he even got a rushing touchdown. And I saw this article that came out today. Now, I'm a certified Aaron Rodgers hater, so maybe take all of this with a grain of salt, disregard it as that, whatever else. But the article was basically like, Aaron Rodgers has run out of excuses. The only thing left to change is himself. And I think that's true. The fact that the New York Jets are still losing games after he replaced the head coach with a guy he wanted, after he brought in his best friend and the best wide receiver connection he's ever had in Devontae Adams. He's basically played the role of general manager since he got to the New York Jets. Obviously, he was injured year one, so you can't fault him with that, but he's healthy now. The team has talent on offense and defense. The team should be good on paper, but they're just not winning games. And if you look at it, I think he is a big reason for that. He has thrown interceptions at least every game this season. He had 2 interceptions this game. And this is a guy who is only 2 years removed from winning MVP. So to go from MVP to where he's playing at right now, now obviously he did have the injury, but it's a little bit jarring, and it feels like it has to be him that elevates this team because all the other pieces have been put into place, and it's just not working. Okay, and now a game that I unfortunately... I didn't finish talking about Jets Steelers. Aaron Rodgers, 24 completions on 39 attempts, 276 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. Russell Wilson, 16 completions on 29 attempts, 264 yards, 2 touchdowns. 0 interceptions. Okay, now, what I was going to say, the game that I really do not want to talk about, Buccaneers versus Ravens. Now, I did predict the Ravens to win this one, and they did, but my god, man, I'm not a fan of the Buccaneers in any stretch, but they've been a very fun and exciting team to watch. Sort of a feel-good team because of Baker Mayfield and what happened with him in Cleveland, which we'll get to later. And this game, you have Chris Godwin and Mike Evans go down in the same game. Not to mention, so this is the game that Mike Evans catches his 100th touchdown pass as a Buccaneer. And then he goes down with a hamstring injury, and then at the end of the game, I think there was less than a minute left. Chris Godwin goes down injured, and it is bad. His foot was backwards. It was bad, bad, bad. Season-ending injuries likely for both of them. Potentially a career-ending injury for Godwin, because for him, I think he's already come back from a pretty bad injury. He might just not want to deal with it again, just rehabbing. Listen to interviews, any athletes who've gone through, big intense rehabbing, and it really sucks. It takes a lot out of you, and then to get back on the field afterwards, it's just a lot. And it feels like the Buccaneers season has just kind of come screeching to a halt, which, like I said, is extremely unfortunate because I was really enjoying watching this team. I thought they were an exciting team overall, and I've seen some people on social media saying the Godwin injury was a dirty play or on purpose or something, but I think you'd have to be absolutely sucks. Derrick Henry had an 81-yard rush this game, and I think that is now the second 80-plus yard rush he has had for the Baltimore Ravens this season. I think he had one in, was it week 2 or week 3? He had that really big, I think like 100 almost yard rush. But he now leads the NFL all time in 80-plus yard rushes with 4. So Derrick Henry has rushed for 80 or more yards 4 times in his career. And I saw this report came out today from an executive. It says text from a general manager whose team briefly considered signing Derrick Henry last offseason. We probably should have taken a longer look at him. Yeah, you think. Like the fact that this, there were other teams that were going in on Derrick Henry and they let him go to the Ravens. I think especially people were kind of ascertaining that it was the Cowboys there who were considering Derrick Henry, which I don't know, maybe. It's just kind of funny to me, and I do think, I saw somebody say this, I do agree that if the Ravens had acquired Derrick Henry at the trade deadline last season, so the last trade deadline, they probably would have won the Super Bowl last year, and I think I agree with that. And at the moment, the Ravens are my favorites for the Super Bowl, barring any injuries. All those concerns I had about them week 1 and 2 are out the window now. Completely out the window. Okay, so Lamar Jackson, 17 completions on 22 attempts, 281 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Baker Mayfield, 31 completions on 45 attempts, 370 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Lamar Jackson might just win back-to-back MVPs. What's crazy is that one of the criticisms of Lamar, one of the knocks on him, and what's funny is one of the reasons that the Ravens had that big prolonged contract dispute with him was his throwing accuracy, his interception issues, compared to other passers like Aaron Rodgers, like Patrick Mahomes, like, the list goes on and on. These guys are considered more pure passing talent without the rushing talent of Lamar. But you look at this season, and the two guys who got criticized for rushing too much and throwing too many interceptions, Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen, are throwing fewer interceptions than Mahomes, than Rodgers, than Burrow, than those guys. Like the guys who got criticized for throwing too many interceptions are now throwing fewer interceptions than the pure passers. It's kind of a funny observation. Okay, now let's go Chiefs versus Niners. I'm just going through the games I watched. I predicted Chiefs here and they won. And with the Chiefs winning and, spoiler alert, the Vikings losing, the Kansas City Chiefs are the only undefeated team remaining in the NFL. Even though with the way they've been playing, I'm honestly shocked and a little bit flabbergasted that they're still undefeated. But this 49ers team might legitimately be cursed. I saw this pretty funny tweet. Somebody said 49ers wide receiver 1 torn ACL, wide receiver 2 can't breathe, wide receiver 3 broken hip, wide receiver 4 shot. And it's not funny, but when you say it like that, it's kind of ridiculous because Ayuk has pneumonia. He's in the hospital. But hey, I had pneumonia and had to go to the hospital. I get it. younger people especially don't realize like how dangerous pneumonia can be. Like people die from it, like straight up all the time. But I mean, even beyond that, the 49ers special teams is really becoming an issue for them. Their punting teams, their punt returns, like field goal units, all their special teams seem to be struggling at the moment. And it feels like, especially this game, every time they're on the precipice of like a big play of something that can like change the momentum in their favor, something would immediately go wrong and like just completely take the wind out of their sails. Like they'd be marching down the field, fumble, or they'd get to the goal line, interception. It's just like, it felt like they couldn't get out of their own way to a certain extent. And it's just crazy that like these two teams just met in the Super Bowl a few months back, and neither of them look like the team they were back then. Cause like, yes, the Kansas City Chiefs did win this game 28-18, but this is a game where Patrick Mahomes threw 2 interceptions, 0 touchdowns. Brock Purdy threw 3 interceptions. Like, the Chiefs don't look like the team they were during the Super Bowl, but these 49ers especially don't look like the team they were during the Super Bowl. And, you know, it felt like coming into this season, they were one of the favorites. If not, a lot of people had them as the favorite. A lot of people thought Chiefs 49ers round 2, lock it in. I think I said much of the same. But now we're 7 weeks into the season, and yes, the Chiefs are undefeated, but the 49ers, they're not going to make the Super Bowl. I don't think that's unfair to say. This isn't a Super Bowl team. And it's crazy how fast things can change, you know. I really thought they were going to dominate the league this season. Now, yes, Christian McCaffrey's been injured. Who knows when he'll be back, but I think it's too little too late at this point. Chiefs win this one 28-18. Patrick Mahomes, 16 completions for 27 attempts, 154 yards. 0 passing touchdowns, but he did have 1 rushing touchdown, and he has 2 interceptions. Brock Purdy, 17 completions on 31 attempts, 212 yards, 0 passing touchdowns, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Okay, now, where is the final game that I watched this week? And that is the Seattle Seahawks versus the Atlanta Falcons. So I did pick the Falcons to win here. After how Seattle has looked, you know, a 3-game losing streak coming into this game. The Falcons were on a win streak coming into this game, and the Falcons had beaten much higher quality opponents than the Seahawks had lost to. So I thought it was a lock that we would lose this, but no, the Seahawks win this game, and we won this game in very, very convincing fashion. And most importantly of all, Geno Smith returns to his rightful place at the top of the ladder, leading the entire NFL in passing yards in the year of our Lord 2024. In week 7 of the NFL season, Geno Smith is leading the National Football League in passing yards. And the Seattle Seahawks are leading the NFC West with a record of 4 wins and 3 losses. Now, unfortunately, DK Metcalf does get injured in this game. They're saying it is a week-to-week injury, so it should, he shouldn't be out long term, maybe a couple of weeks. I think it was a strain or a bruise or something like that, but so that's unfortunate. But some of the young guys who will get more reps, get more targets. Hopefully by the time DK Metcalf gets back, we'll be in a better spot. Because yeah, DK had a very nice, 35-yard touchdown reception this game. Beautiful play, and he got injured shortly thereafter. 34-14 in favor of my Seattle Seahawks. Both the Seahawks and the Falcons are 4-3. Geno Smith has 18 completions on 28 attempts, 207 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Kirk Cousins, 24 completions on 35 attempts, 232 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. It doesn't technically count as an interception, but he had a fumble. Well, Kirk Cousins was sacked, fumbled, and then that was returned for a Seattle touchdown, but that's not counted anywhere as a stat. Okay, next game I want to talk about is Bengals Browns, and this is gonna be a controversial one. So just get out of the way now. I said last week that you have to sit Deshaun Watson and let Jameis Winston play. I obviously dislike Deshaun Watson for personal, non-football reasons. I'm not gonna hate a guy just because he's bad at football. I'll just think that he probably shouldn't play football anymore. But with Deshaun Watson, it is the crimes and then the complete lack of consequences for the crimes coming from the organization. Not only a lack of consequences, but a rewarding of the bad behavior by giving him this massive contract. So when that blows up in the Browns' face, of course I feel a little bit of vindication. I was like, yeah, you guys were, that's what you get for doing what you did. So Deshaun Watson goes down this game. By the way, I picked the Bengals, and they did get the win here ultimately. But Deshaun Watson goes down this game with an ACL injury. His season is done. You're in Cleveland. The Cleveland crowd starts cheering. Now, Deshaun Watson is a very bad person. He likely belongs in jail, not on a football field, okay? I'm still not gonna cheer somebody getting injured, and people or players taking offense that the cheers for Deshaun Watson getting injured. To a certain level, I understand. The problem comes, and this is after the game, when Myles Garrett comes out. Now, Myles Garrett is a guy that I've always liked in the NFL. I've always thought that he seemed like a good guy. He plays hard. One of the best defensive players in the league. You never really hear any scandals or anything about him. At least I haven't. Maybe I wasn't paying attention. I don't know. But he comes out, and it's one thing to say, like, oh, we don't support the the cheering of the injury, but like, we understand the fan base, and we're here to support Jameis now. Whatever you have to say, whatever BS, PR, media trained statement. But Myles Garrett comes out here and he goes up and he says, Deshaun Watson has been a model citizen. A model citizen. And there's like no reason to dislike this man. It's like, either you have your head completely buried in the sand, which I don't think he does. You think all the allegations are fake, which you have to be an idiot to think that. Or, and this is the worst of the three options, you don't think that what Deshaun Watson did is wrong. Which it's like, in neither of these circumstances does Myles Garrett come out looking good. So I don't know what he's thinking giving a statement like that. But it continues this trend of NFL players like just constantly saying, not constantly, but very often NFL players, they'll say something up like, oh, like, that is a shockingly bad statement or comment. Like, I don't know how you even think that thought. And it's just one of those things where you're like, okay. But the Bengals win this one 21-14. There's a 65-yard kick return touchdown in this game, so that's exciting. But overall, not a ton of back and forth here. Joe Burrow has 15 completions on 25 attempts, 181 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jameis Winston has 5 completions on 11 attempts, 67 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. And it took Jameis Winston 11 attempts to get his first passing touchdown. I do think that Jameis Winston will give the Cleveland Browns a better chance of winning football games. I really do. Broncos versus Saints. Now, I didn't watch this one. Usually, I would watch this game, this time slot, Thursday, but for me, it's Friday. But I was getting a Costco membership this day. I officially became a Costco guy. I have yet to try the double chunk chocolate cookie, however, that'll be on the next trip. But I picked the Broncos to win here, and they did, 33-10. Of course, I predicted them last week, and they let me down quite badly against the Rams, but they bounced back here and kind of looked like they were the week prior. A 23-point win here in a game that they were only favored by 2.5 points. Bo Nix didn't do too much here going up against Spencer Rattler. It's kind of hard for me personally to glean too much information from this win, but 33-10, Bo Nix, 16 completions on 26 attempts, 164 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Spencer Rattler, 25 completions on 35 attempts, 172 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. But it was crazy. The Saints started this season super hot. Week 1, Week 2, New Orleans Saints. They had 2 really good wins. The offense looked good, the defense looked good. And then literally ever since that, it's just been straight over a cliff. And they look absolutely terrible now. And it is like low-key kind of shocking. Patriots versus Jaguars. I predicted the Patriots here because the Jaguars are garbage. Unfortunate garbage because I kind of like the Jaguars, but the Patriots lose. Jaguars win this 32-16. I thought that Drake May's arm would be a bigger issue for this But I do have to say he did have a 22-yard touchdown pass, and he still did have a lot of yards. So it was there. But the Jacksonville Jaguars have the single worst passing defense in the NFL. So I thought with that cannon that Drake May has, it would be a bigger issue for them. But ultimately, they're still able to get the win. But unfortunately, I think getting this win probably saved the coach's job, which is somebody who would like to see this Jaguars team win and do well. I'm not a fan of that. They need to lose so Doug Peterson gets fired. They can bring in a better head coach. Drake made 26 completions on 37 attempts, 276 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Jared Lawrence, 15 completions on 20 attempts, 193 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Titans versus Bills. I took the Buffalo Bills. They won this game 34-10. Speaking of Myles Garrett, Mason Rudolph, starting for the Tennessee Titans, had 25 completions on 40 attempts, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And Josh Allen, again, just continuing to decide that he doesn't like to throw interceptions anymore. He's over it. Didn't find it fun anymore. 21 completions on 33 attempts, 323 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Dolphins versus Colts. You have Anthony Richardson back. I didn't realize that when I made my prediction. I thought it would still be Flacco, but Richardson is back, which is nice to see. And the Colts still get the win, which I predicted them to do. 16-10 in their favor, so an overall low-scoring affair. But this is the final week of Tyler Huntley at quarterback. I think there's a press conference today. Tua Tagovailoa said that he's going to be coming back to play, and he explicitly said that he is not going to be wearing a Guardian cap, which is insane to me. Like, they were tailor-made for Tua. But it'll be interesting to see. Hopefully he can stay healthy, but obviously I have doubts at this point because he hasn't. Tyler Huntley, 7 completions on 13 attempts, 87 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 picks. Anthony Richardson, 10 completions on 24 attempts, 129 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Oops, don't do that. That would have been bad. Lions versus Vikings. I picked the Vikings here because they were undefeated. And I have that rule where if a team is like undefeated, I'm not going to bet against momentum. But I did kind of assume the Lions would win this game. They did. It was still close though. They won by 2, 31-29. And it looks like the bookies were on the same wavelength as me because Minnesota were actually a 1.5 favorite in this game. You know what's really crazy though is the over-under on this game was 50.5 and the total final score was 60. I really wonder, Minnesota 1.5 point favorite on over-under 50.5. I feel like this game broke a lot of people's parlays. Jared Goff, 22 completions on 25 attempts, 280 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Sam Darnold, 22 completions on 27 attempts, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Texans versus Packers. I picked the Packers here. I figured that the Texans would be the favorites, but actually they weren't. The Packers were a favorite in this matchup, which I didn't expect. Because I feel like on paper the Texans should be the better team, but like I mentioned in my prediction video, back-to-back away games for them, playing in Lambeau. Tricky endeavor, but the Green Bay Packers win this game on a 45-yard field goal, which is just absolutely back-breaking stuff for the Texans, but for me, it's another W in the column. And it's looking like, this sea of green here, this is back-to-back pretty good weeks for me. I maybe have a couple L's coming up here, but I should still be decent. And I have to credit this Green Bay defense. They really kept CJ Stroud in check. This might be his worst passing performance of the year. 10 completions on 21 attempts for CJ Stroud, 86 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Jordan Love, 24 completions on 33 attempts, 220 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Eagles versus Giants. The Giants defense, which I talked about it in the video. The Giants having one of the better defensive ratings in the league. The Eagles' offensive rating had gone down. I had a comment asking, how did the Eagles' offense go down? I don't know what the formulas and stuff they use are, but I just saw, I believe it was either Pro Football Focus or one of those similar sites that, grades and, has the list of all offenses, all defenses, whatever the formula they use is to determine that. The Eagles had been steadily going down that list, which I mentioned in my prediction video, but I was wrong on that one. The Eagles blow out the Giants 28-3. Jalen Hurts has 10 completions on 14 attempts, 114 passing yards, 114 yards, 1 passing touchdown, but 2 rushing touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Daniel Jones, who following week 1 kind of seemed like he was getting his groove back, has once again lost his groove. 14 completions on 21 attempts, 99 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Panthers, Commanders. I picked the Commanders. This was an absolute blowout. 40-7 is your final score in favor of the Washington Commanders. And it's always crazy when your first score is a pick six, but it is Andy Dalton pick six to start the game. One of 2 interceptions for Dalton this game. But I see that Marcus Mariota was playing in this game. Now, did Daniels get hurt? He got a rib injury. Oh, he left the game in the first quarter. I see. I was watching the video of it now. So it looks like he had the ball. He was running. He gets tackled. He goes down. And then he's slow to get up. Daniel suffered a rib injury on Washington's first possession. Okay. Well, I mean, what's impressive though is this was a Marcus Mariota-led blowout. And as an Oregon Ducks fan, I love Marcus Mariota. I've always had high hopes for him in his career, even though it hasn't gone the way I thought it would. But 40-7 in favor of the Commanders is your final score. Dalton has 11 completions on 16 attempts, 93 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Andy Dalton has really come crashing back down to earth after that first week that he was at the helm. Marcus Mariota, 18 completions on 23 attempts, 205 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. Raiders, Rams, I picked the Raiders here, but the Rams got the win. 20-15 in favor of the Rams. Aiden O'Connell, 6 completions on 10 attempts, 52 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Stafford, 14 completions on 23 attempts, 154 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. And finally, Chargers, Cardinals. I picked the Chargers. We get another L here. Not a great way to end the series, or to end the week, but yep. Chargers, Cardinals. Cardinals win 17-15. So on the week that the Niners lose and the Seahawks win, it would have been nice if the Rams and the Cardinals could have also lost, just to give us a little bit of extra cushion. But they just had to go ahead and win as well. Herbert, 27 completions on 39 attempts, 349 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 picks. Kyler Murray, 14 on 26, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 pick. And I have to say, as a Herbert fan, somebody who wants the Chargers to do well, it feels like they're going in the wrong direction. The team feels worse than the team was last year, and last year's team felt worse than the team was the year before that. So, just not great from the Chargers. Okay, we had 15 games this week. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 out of 15. And that is good for 60%. So if I add this all up, we have 61 of 107 on the season. 61 divided by 107. Still for 57%. So there we go. Thank you guys so very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this almost every single day. Till next time, guys. Bye bye.